Right, right. Hear ye, hear ye, Putnam County Commission is now in session. The Honorable Chair, Mike Atwood, presiding. All those here tonight having business before this commission, draw nigh, come forward, and ye shall be heard. God bless this great United States, the state of Tennessee. God bless Putnam County and this honorable commission. Yes. Mr. Chairman, I find these premises to be in order, and I yield to the chair.
Thank you so much, Major. We appreciate you. You don't know how much. Welcome tonight, folks. It's hard to find a parking place tonight around the courthouse for this crowd, but we're glad to have you with us. We're going to start out with District 11 with our invocation and pledge.
Yes, we'd like to call on Pastor Eddie Turner for the invocation tonight.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this community. We thank you for these men and women who sacrifice their time out of nothing more than love for this community. Now, there are some smart people in this room sitting behind these chairs, and I'm asking tonight for a wisdom beyond their learning. I'm asking for a supernatural insight so they may make the decisions best for our future, we the citizens of Putnam County. May our county continue to be blessed, and may our leaders continue to prosper and be blessed and full of health. And we thank you for the opportunity and the joy of living in the greatest county in the state of Tennessee. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Clerk, if you'd call the roll.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll take your handsets and press yes for me. Everybody take your handsets and press yes, and it will stop you right there. Yes, sir. Sorry. Thanks. Mr. Chairman, you have 22 present. You have 2 absent when roll is called. Therefore, declare a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion is second. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Favor the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion carries. Approval of the previous minutes.
Motion to approve. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Favor the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion carries. Unfinished business, start with report of standing committees, planning.
No unfinished business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Physical review,
No unfinished business.
and how about nominating?
No unfinished business.
Thank you, chairs. We appreciate that. Report of special committees and consideration tonight of probably what everybody came to see, and that's the budget. So we'll turn that over to the budget chair, Mr. Ben Rogers, and if you will, take her and run with it.
Thank you, Chairman Atwood. In full transparency, he's asked me to conduct the business for this part of the agenda since it's Budget Committee, so I'll be asking for seconds and discussion and taking, and of course, call for the vote, and I'll wait on Mr. Neighbors to tally the votes and print off, and then I'll continue business. So, thank you all for being here. I want to thank the Budget Committee. The members were Kathy Dunn, Kim Bradford, Del Moss, Mike Atwood, Grover Bennett, Chris Cassidy, Jonathan Williams, and Jim Martin, and myself. So, appreciate all y'all. You worked hard. You were diligent. You were here. and we had a good discussion. I believe we've come up with something good for the county. Now, I'll get into that. First thing I want to do is approve the tax levy resolution. You should have your budget. It was handed out to you via the county mayor's office or through email. You should have it. Tax levy resolution is the number one item I want to start with. So, county general fund will have a tax rate, proposed tax rate of .826. .826 for county general fund. Sports recreation will be .037. General purpose school .836. Debt service .490. Industrial economic development fund .016. County road fund .101. Solid waste sanitation .150. And general capital projects .016. Total tax rate of $2.472, so $2.47 and a 2 on the end of that. Our certified rates goes out to 3 places, so that's why we have 3 digits there. That's proposed tax rate, and I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any discussion on the proposed tax rate? All right, Mr. Clerk?
Rick? All right, ladies and gentlemen, hang on, let me get... Here we go. If you favor the motion, vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone take your handsets and please vote for me, please. Mr. Ford. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right. Excellent.
Hey, you got the new one.
All right. Mr. Chairman, you have 22 voting yes, 2 absent, 0 no. Motion carries, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The second part of approving the budget is the appropriation resolution. There's a lot of detail in this. I'm hoping everybody got to review it. If you had a new copy in front of you at your seat, it's because there was the expenses and revenue were switched for drug fund. It wasn't a big difference, but it was switched, so you should have a new one. And the drug fund should state now that appropriations are $203,400. So that was the only change we've had since the time you officially got your handout. So some people that got them after Monday, I believe, or today, whenever it was, should have the right ones. But she knows who got one and who don't. So that's the only change. I will read the total appropriations for the whole budget. I will not get into each function. But so the total appropriations for Putnam County recommended for fiscal year 2023 is $223,122,363, and I approve. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Any discussion of motion second? Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to offer one amendment, and I'm not sure the exact line item this needs to go under. It is a small amendment in the grand scheme of things, but those of you who are on the Budget Committee remember, and those who may have attended remember, that a great deal of our discussion in the Budget Committee was about employee salaries. There were a couple different plans that were proposed. One plan was adopted. I don't think it does everything it needs to do, but it's certainly a good step in the right direction. But one thing that we have not done as a county in a very long time, maybe ever, is a comprehensive salary study that not only includes public sector comparisons, but also includes public and private sector comparisons. We have occupations in county service that do have private sector comparables, and I think it would be wise for this body to spend the money once every 4 years to collect broad yet detailed data to see where we stack up, not just with other cities and counties, but also how we stack up with the private sector, so that our salaries can become competitive and remain competitive, and we don't fall so far behind that we have to have large budgets or large budgeted raises. We need to get where we need to be and stay there. So my motion is to approve up to $50,000 to be taken out of general fund. This is one-time money for the purpose of that. Now, the school board might like to piggyback on this, that'll be a school board decision. If they do decide to piggyback on this, especially as it comes to their support staff, there may be some cost sharing involved, but that's my motion,
I'll second that.
up to $50,000.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to amend the appropriations resolution, which would also amend the detailed budget by fund to include contracted services, which is where that would come out of the general fund, up to $50,000 for a comprehensive salary study to include private sector and counties.
That's right.
Okay.
Now, there was a public sector survey done in 2020. Under normal circumstances, that might be helpful, but so much has changed since 2020, and inflation has gone through the roof. I think the numbers are gonna be quickly outdated, so I think it would be wise to approve the money now and go ahead and conduct the survey within the next 12 months, so that the next budget committee, or the next budget cycle, we can have that current data.
Okay, that will be a roll call vote as well. Any more discussion on that? You want to formally hit your button? I'm sorry, Commissioner Bennett. Thank you.
Mayor
Commissioner
Porter,
Bennett.
do you support this?
I think we've got to, whether you spend a lot of money or we do it internally or however you want to do it, I think we've got to keep up with the salaries. We did, as you said, in 2020, we was part of a study that did multiple county governments and city governments across the state, but it only compared government positions. And so I think a good comparison of private and government is going to be beneficial to us going forward. And I agree, we have to keep up and try to keep the salaries comparable, because we don't want to lose our good employees out to the private sector. So I'm hoping we can do it for a lot less than $50,000. That seems a little high to me, but I think we probably need to do something, and doing something every 4 or 5 years I think is a good idea.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, my question was, I agree, I think it needs to be done, I think it needs to be less than, obviously the maximum $50,000, but certainly less than that. Is this something that, needs to be decided on this, at this point forward, or is this something that needs to go to committee?
It's the wish of the commission. It can go either way, Commissioner
Okay.
Wilson. Yeah.
I was just checking. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Thank you, sir. All right, any more discussion? So this amendment will make total appropriations $223,122,413. I'm sorry, $127,363. I'm sorry. No, 172. I'm sorry. 223. My decimals are wrong. 223,172,363. That would be the new if this is approved. So 223,122,172,363. All right, Mr. Clerk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you favor the amendment, we're voting on the amendment only. If you favor the amendment, press yes. If you do not favor the amendment, vote no. All of you, please vote. All right, all votes are in. Does anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Mr. Chairman, you have 19 voting yes, 3 voting no, 2 absent when the roll is called. The amendment passes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Now we're back to the motion as amended. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Clerk.
All right. If you favor the motion as now amended, take your handsets and vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Does anyone wish to change their vote anywhere?
Chairman, you have 21 voting yes, 1 no, 1 absent, 2 absent, and that motion carries, 21-4.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Moving on to the nonprofit resolution. As you can see, you have in your handout, there's several there that we donate to, but remember, some of these, like the library, animal shelter, they're constant contributions we make every year as part of our agreement with them. The other ones, we have a committee, the Budget Committee recommended a nonprofit committee to decide, or recommend, I should say, where to contribute each year. They work hard, and they sent to the Budget Committee, and we approve that, so now it's before you, and I'll make a motion to approve. Second. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that?
Who seconded that?
Mr.
Oh,
Cassidy.
thank you, sir.
All right, no discussion, Mr. Clerk?
Sorry. Gotta have a drink of Diet Coke,
Oh,
boys.
you're good.
Yeah. I'm living proof that way milk can run on Diet Coke. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take your handsets. If you favor the motion for nonprofits, vote yes. If you don't favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their votes anywhere? Mr. Chairman, you have 22 voting yes, 2 absent. Motion carries. Give me just a half a second. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next is the resolution rounding property tax amounts to the nearest dollar. This is something we do every year, so there's no confusion about the amounts that we're putting in for deposit into the trustee's office and putting in the budget. I so move.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any discussion on this resolution?
Yes, one question, if I can, may. Mr. Chair, is there some reason we can't make this permanent, rather than doing it every year?
Unfortunately, since you gotta do a budget every year, you can't obligate yourself to do anything going beyond 1 year. That's a good question, so we have to do it every year. Thank you. Any discussion, further discussion? Mr. Clerk, I believe we have to call, roll call for this as well.
We do, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you favor the motion, take your handsets and vote yes. If you don't favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right. Thank you. You're doing great. Mr. Chairman, we have 22 voting yes, 0 no, 2 absent when the roll is called. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So now we are to the part where we approve detailed budgets by fund. We just do individually, and for those commissioners that are county employees, whatever fund you're paid out of, if you're a county employee and paid out of the general fund, you'll have to abstain on the general fund vote because you have been recommended to receive a raise. So any county employees, whether it's solid waste, general fund, schools, whatever fund you may fall in, you would have to abstain. When you abstain, that lowers our membership to 23 people, and that in turn lowers our majority vote to 12. Okay? So when it's come time, general fund, you know what fund you're paid out of, and I think between the chairman and clerk and I, we also know as well. We'll make sure you abstain.
Yes.
So just hit your abstain button on your handset. Okay, first one is general fund, total appropriations of $47,952,024. And what I'm gonna do is go in order of the way the budget was delivered to you in fund, not the order on the appropriation resolution, but the way the budget was delivered to you. So first was general fund, $47,952,024. That's gonna add, that includes the $50,000 we're adding. So it'd actually be $48,102,024. So $48,102,024.
48 million.
48 million, thank you. Good gracious. 48 million. I wish it's 48,000.
All right.
So does the taxpayer.
Give me, give me that one more time, Ben, kind of.
48 million.
Okay.
102.
All right.
48,102,024.
024.
That's a total appropriations for general fund.
General fund, good. Thank you, sir.
And I so move.
Second.
All right, got a motion second, any Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Chairman, are you sure that's 48,102, and it's not 48,002?
Oh, golly, you're right. Wait, 002, yep. I'm an accountant by trade, I promise you.
Let me ask
He had
if,
surgery last week.
Mr. Chair, if I could, for clarity's sake, if you are no longer employed by that employer, you would not have to abstain. In other words, because this is next year's budget.
That's right, that is
So,
right.
I know
Thank you,
Kim
Mr.
has
Chair.
retired, I'm no longer driving a bus, but if you're still employed, that's the K and will be affected by next year's budget.
Yeah.
Is that not right?
That's correct.
All right, so,
Yes.
that includes what?
Yes. So we have a second. Any more any discussion? All right, Mr. Clerk.
All right, so in general fund, Ms. Tays, are you the only one that's full-time? Anybody else? All right, so Commissioner Tays, you must abstain on this one, all right, when it comes your time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take your handsets. If you favor the motion, vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Excellent. Mr. Chairman, you have 21 voting yes, 1 abstain, 2 absent. That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Moving on to Solid Waste Sanitation Fund, total appropriations of $6,471,410. $6,471,410, and I so move.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Clerk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take your handsets if you favor the motion for solid waste. But take your handsets and vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. Huh? You can vote, yes. Yeah, you can vote on this, sure can. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Excellent. Mr. Chairman, we have 22 voting yes, 2 absent. Declare that motion to have passed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Moving on to Industrial Economic Development Fund 119. Total appropriation, $1,232,375, $1,232,375, and I so move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Clerk.
All right, Industrial Economic Fund. If you favor the motion, take your handsets and vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. Mr. Ford. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Excellent. You all are doing great. Thank you so much. Yep. Mr. Chairman, you have 22 voting yes, 0 no, 2 absent. Roll is called. Declare that motion to have passed. Thanks. Thanks, Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Moving on to Preservation of Records, Fund 121. And that appropriation is $104,000. So it's Preservation of Records, Fund 121, appropriations $104,000, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take your handsets. If you favor the motion for preservation of records, vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right. You are doing great.
Chairman, you have 22 voting yes, 0 no, 2 absent with the roll is called. Declare that motion to have passed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Moving on to the Drug Control Fund 122, total appropriations of $203,400. Drug Control Fund 122, 203, 400, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Clerk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Drug Control Fund, if you favor the motion, vote yes. If not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Doing great. Mr. Chairman, I have 22 voting yes, 2 absent with the roll is called. Declare the motion to have carried. Passed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Moving on to Sports and Recreation Fund 123. Sports and Recreation Fund 123, total appropriation $1,459,470. $1,459,470, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. We have. Is there any discussion? Okay, Mr. Clerk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take your handsets. If you favor Sports and Rec, take your handsets and vote yes. If not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All are in. Anyone wish to change their vote? All right, you're doing great. Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I have 22 voting yes, 0 no, 2 absent when the roll is called. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Now we're moving towards the Veterans Service Fund. Veterans Service Fund 128. And we have a total appropriation of $700 in there. Veterans Service Fund 128, total appropriation of $700. In your appropriation resolution, it's called Other Special Revenue Fund, but it does have a Veterans Service Fund on it. And I so move.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Clerk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take your handsets. If you favor the motion, vote yes. If not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right, you're doing great. Mr. Chairman, I have 22 voting yes, 2 absent when the roll is called. Declare the motion to have passed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next up is the Highway Public Works Fund, otherwise known as the Road Department. Total appropriations of $5,760,537. $5,760,537, and I also move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Clerk.
Did I write that down? 5,760,537?
Yes, sir.
Correct. All right, thank you, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, in favor of the Highway Department Fund, take your handsets. If you favor the motion, vote yes. Do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone has voted. All votes are in. Do you wish to change your vote anywhere? All right, you're doing great. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I have 22 voting yes, 2 absent. Roll is called. Motion carries.
Thank you, sir. And moving on to General Purpose School Fund 141. General Purpose School Fund 141. Total appropriations, $103,473,988. 103,473,988. And I also move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Clerk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, in favor of school fund, take your handsets. In favor of the motion, vote yes. If not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote.
Oh.
All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Yes, I forgot. Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
You're welcome.
Meant to say anybody, and your wife, well, you had to stay there. Good deal. Kim doesn't have to anymore, do you?
But
You're
you
free.
are
You're-
free to
you're-
vote for it, Corbin.
You're free. You got to vote. Got to vote on the school fund. Wow. Mr. Chairman, you have 21 voting yes, 1 abstain, 2 absent when a roll was called. Whoops. We'll stay right there. Motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Now we're moving on to the school, federal projects budget, Fund 142. This is all federal money. Looks like the copy was not black enough for me to see, but it looks like it's, $7,659,981.
Whoa, I didn't get that.
$7,659,981. Mark, make sure you check me if that's what I have in my packet. Fund 142. It is federal money, so it's not like, this is just a formality, actually, that we approve this budget for the comptroller's office. $7,659,981. Okay, that's correct. I got one right.
Yay.
And I so move. All right, any discussion on this one? No discussion, Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd already hit the button, so go ahead and grab your handsets. If you favor the motion, vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. I got a little ahead of the game. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Excellent. Mr. Chairman, I have 22 voting yes, 2 absent when the roll was called. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Moving on to Fund 143, School Cafeteria Fund, or Child Nutrition Fund, $7,900,000. $7,900,000 appropriation for Child Nutrition Fund 143, and also move. Second. Have a motion, second. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Clerk.
Ladies and gentlemen, take your handsets. If you favor the motion, vote yes. If not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change your vote anywhere? Excellent. Chairman of 22, again voting for, 2 absent. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. This is a fund I forgot 3 years ago. Randy yelled at me about after the fact. Fund 146, Extended School Program Budget. Again, this is federal money, but as a formality of the Comptroller's Office, we as a commission have to approve it. Fund 146, Extended School Program Budget, and the expense appropriation is $1,674,110. $1,674,110, and I so move.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, take your handsets. If you favor the motion, vote yes. If not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Excellent. Mr. Chairman, I have 22 voting yes, 2 absent when the roll is called. That motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. 3 more left. We're almost finished, I promise you. General Debt Service Fund 151, General Debt Service Fund 151, total appropriations $30,669,249, $30,669,249, and also move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, debt service, if you favor the motion, vote yes. If not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Excellent. Mr. Chairman, I have 22 voting yes, 2 absent when the roll is called. Declare that motion to have passed.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next up is the Capital Projects Fund, appropriations of $16,067,000. $16,067,000, Capital Projects Fund, and also move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, you please call the roll.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take a hand test in capital projects. If you favor the motion, vote yes. Do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right. Mr. Chairman, I have 22 voting yes, 2 absent when the roll is called. Declare that motion to pass. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next is the Community Development Fund, 359. Community Development Fund, 359, total appropriations, $154,100, 154,100, and also move. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, you please call
All
the roll.
right. Community Development Fund, take your hand test. In favor of the motion, vote yes. Do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right. Excellent. Mr. Chairman, we have 22 voting yes, 2 absent when the roll is called. Declare that motion to have passed.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Porter, Ms. Qualls, is that it? We're not gonna come back next month where I miss something. We might. Okay. Folks, thank you so much. Appreciate Randy and his office, Chelsea, do a great job. Everybody in his office does a great job with budget prep. Department heads, officials, thank you so much for your time and getting this in, and Budget Committee and Commission, thank you for your hard work. I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogers. Let me say thanks to Ben for the hard work. Let me tell you, it was a good budget committee. Took up some tough tasks this time, guys, but we did it without a tax increase, so we can be proud of that. Hope you as citizens are. This budget affects a lot of folks, and it's going to affect even more as I look out into the audience. Some other people will be involved. So thank you, Commissioner Rogers. Thank you, Budget Committee. I'm proud of what you did. Appreciate the time you spent doing so. I hope you all know how benefited we are by having Mr. Rogers. Probably understands the budget as much as anybody. I mean, he does it every day. That's his job. But that's a benefit to Putnam County to have that. So, and it's also a benefit to know he'll be back for the next 4 years. So we're proud of that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
A little sad, I guess. We want to unfortunately have to recognize the loss of one of our folks. And recognizing it just makes it aware that we have an open position. We've already talked about it. But I want to ask you to to pray for Harold's family. I'm sure they're devastated. I know I would be. So just remember Harold Burris and his office as well. And moving forward, and just tonight, say a little prayer for the Burris family. I'm sure they can appreciate that. All right, moving forward. Report of standing committees with new business. Planning Committee, please.
Yes, thank you. First up on our agenda tonight is to consider approval of the delegation of authority to the planning staff of the Putnam County Regional Planning Commission to preliminarily approve, finalize the approval of, or certify a subdivision plat, and I so move.
On a motion is second, any discussion on that motion? Mr. Bennett.
Yes, Mr. Atwood, could you explain to us how the process works now?
It's basically the same. Plat comes before the regional planning, it's filed there. We have the opportunity to meet with the developer about that. If there's any changes, then the committee still, regional planning still makes and asks for changes or whatever. It starts with a preliminary and goes into a final. It's two different plat approvals that have to be made. Preliminary just gets him started. Doesn't mean a final decree, so things could still be changed. But once the final plat is presented before regional planning, we approve it. If we do, then it goes through the signature process, which is a lot of the road committee manager has to sign. There's, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 different signatures that's required. The last signature that goes on used to be the Secretary of Regional Planning, and he would not, which was me, would not sign that plat until everybody had signatures. So it's verification of that everybody is on board with it, and the final thing is then that last signature. At that point, it goes to the Register of Deeds where it is recorded, and once it is recorded, it is a legal document, and it is as it is. So what this is saying is, rather than calling me or the chairman, of regional planning, which is Jerry Mason, now the Kevin Rush, who is our planner, can do that in the office. He can sign it, no one else has to be called. He's the one that generally does it anyway, just to be frank with you. I mean, that's what we pay him for. He makes all the decisions along with our engineer as to whether the site distance is good. There's a lot of preliminary things that must meet before it's going to be approved. So now he can sign those plats and they can go to the recorder's office.
Thank you.
Any more question? Be clear, I don't. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Next, we'll consider the approval of the resignation of 9th District Commissioner Jimmy Neal, and I so move.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you, Chairman, and that concludes planning.
You know, I mentioned this a couple of times, maybe I ought to keep my mouth shut, but I think it's important that everybody's clear. The reason sometimes we have to have a roll call vote, and the reason we don't, as we just did, there's not any expenditure of money, so it's a clear record. If you want to go into record books and see what your commissioner and how they voted, when we vote on these machines, that is recorded, and you have the right of knowing how your commissioner voted on that issue. On a particular issue that does not expend taxpayer money, we do not have to vote. We can do it on voice. So we're fixing to go into physical review, Mr. Chair, and we will be voting because it is expenditures in most cases. So just for explanation's sake. Fiscal review.
Fiscal Review Committee recommends increasing the pay of the Chief Deputy of the Register of Deeds Office beginning February 1st until the election, until the time they're not serving as running the office anymore. And that pay would be set at the rate of what the office holder would have gotten. And I so move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? It is retroactive, remember that, back from the point
February 1st.
of origin. So, all right, Mr. Clerk, we will need to vote on this.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you favor the motion, take your handsets and vote yes. If you do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Mr. Chairman, you have 22 voting yes, 0 no, 1 absent, and 1 vacancy. Motion carries.
Completes fiscal review.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nominating?
No business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, report of special committees, any reports? Resolutions?
No resolutions, Mr. Chairman.
Bet you got some notice.
I do for a fact. Here we go. Easton L. Aldridge, Judy Boone, Eric L. Brown, Patricia Calderon, Nancy L. Kuhn, Candace DuBois, Sierra Ford, W. Blake Garrison, Tom C. Howard, Brittany Keith, Rachel Martin, April E. McCurry, Rachel Payne, Alice J. Peak, Eric Ragland, Caitlin Raines, Jessica Reed, Shirley J. Riddle, Janet Rumasick, Ricky Shelton, Elsie Short, John Sleester, Allison Smith, Amy Stockwell, Sherry Stone, Kathy Stout, and E. Shane Wheeler.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the notaries? All right, Mr. Clerk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to vote on the notaries. If you take your handsets and just vote yes for me, that will be great. You've done such a wonderful job all this entire night. Thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, you have 22 voting yes, 1 absent, 1 vacancy. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And we've got new business tonight, so we're going to hear from the Director of Schools, Mr. King. You got 2 minutes. No, I'm kidding.
I could probably do this in 2 minutes if there are not a lot of questions. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you to all of you for the work you've done tonight, to the Budget Committee. It means a lot to our employees, what you all have done. When you hear across the state and the country some of the dialogue around teachers and education, I tell our teachers all the time, that's not what we hear in our community. In our community, our teachers, our schools are respected. We trust them with the care. We want the best and brightest, and you all have shown that here tonight. So I wanted to take just a moment and update everyone on the school project and the bond, where we are. At the time I asked Mayor Porter to be on the agenda tonight, I was hoping to come in with an update that we're ready to start building a school. Unfortunately, that's not where we are, but I just kind of want to say what's happening and keep you all informed in the process. We've got a couple of things a lot of things we don't know still, but the one thing we do know is we're not going to be able to build a K-8 with the bond issue that we have. We have $44 million, a little over $44 million in the bond. At the time we requested the bond, we went forward. The project was going to come in just a little under $44 million. By the time we furnished and put technology in the building, we were going to be in a good place with $44 million. At that time, we were projecting around $235 a square foot to build the school, which was well within the range of what we could build a year ago, 2 years ago when we started this process. Current inflation, the bid came in $336 a square foot. So the project's around $61 million. So what we do know, we can't build a K-8 with that price. What we don't know, and I suspect we'll have a special called board meeting this week, the 30 days to accept or reject the bid is up on Thursday. So the school board members still have some decisions to make. We have to make a decision on whether or not we reject and just kind of push the brakes here, and so we're going to pause and come back, maybe try to rebid this thing in 6 to 12 months. In talking to architects, subs, and others, frankly, they don't see a lot of change in 6 to 12 months with the inflation. There's still a lot of projects that are on hold, a lot of people doing the same thing. Those of you who work in construction fields know better than I do. Prices don't seem to be coming down. Things are continuing to go up. Another consideration that they have is, do we try to move forward with the pre-K4
We're still struggling to find that. We've been working up through today even, with the architect and the contractor, trying to get the pre-K 4 side. If we take the 5.8 out, can we just do the pre-K 4 and build that within the $44 million that we have? And we're not there yet. We still have about a $3.5 million gap. We do have $3 million that we were putting into building the new Vital virtual instruction building. That's something that the board has to consider. Do we put that money with the bond so that we can build a K4? And I don't know if that's where we're going yet. So we've still got a lot of I don't knows. The I don't knows is, can we move forward with at least the K4 with the current bond, combining that money and delaying the virtual, or do we push the brakes, come back and try to rebid this? I talked with Mayor Porter earlier today. We have 3 years on the current bond to do something, to move forward. We know in the community wants K-8. That's what they've said, I know you all have heard that when we talked about that before, but we just can't get there with the current bond and the current prices. We only had one bidder for the project, and that's tough. And with a project this size, we thought that there would be a lot of interest, and in normal years, normal circumstances, there would have been a ton of interest for a project of this size. But what we heard from all of the contractors is they're covered up with work. There's not enough contractors to cover what's out there, not enough subs. So we've just kind of been hit with the timing of all, it's kind of tough right now in the market. So still a lot of decisions to be made. We talk about, what we don't want in the community. We don't want to have to get to a point where we're adding portables, things like that, or we're growing at a fast pace. We're continuing to project numbers. I feel like in looking at typical growth over the past 8 to 10 years has been between 1% and 2%. We think coming out of COVID last year we had quite a bit of growth, but that really just got us back to pre-pandemic levels, a little bit above that. It's hard to predict what we're going to have when we come back to school Thursday or next week. If we have that 1% to 2% growth, we're going to be fine. We've projected a 5% and a 10% growth. If we have 5% growth over the next year, we're still okay. We're not going to have to panic yet. If we get 10%, we're going to be really tight in some places. So what I look at is if we do 5% a year over the next 2 years, which is what it would take to get us into this new building, and then hopefully moving Parkview, do some renovations there to where we can continue to use that facility possibly as a pre-K, get a couple more years. So that's how we're projecting this out. But I wanted you all to hear that's the decision the school board's still looking at right now. We know we can't go forward with the K-8. We're hoping to be able to find a way possibly to go forward with the K-4, or they may have to put the brakes on and we'll come back. It's just their meeting's not going to be before you all meet again. But we'll try to keep you informed as much as we can as we go through this process. And I'll try to answer any questions I can. Kind of tough right now.
There's no decision to be made tonight, folks. He's just making announcements, okay, as to where we stand.
That is correct.
And so there'll be more information coming forward before we're asked to make any changes. But at this point, is welcome to questions. Yes, sir.
That is correct, yes.
How much of the overage do you think is due to inflation, and how much is due to the fact you only had one bid?
From what we hear, Mr. Bennett, is it's all due to the inflation of just the current market. When we talk to all their other schools that are being bid right now, they're coming in $340, won $348 last week, so at $336 a square foot. We're kind of right along with where these are coming in right now. It's not just a one bidder.
So other schools have multiple bids and it's still coming in at that square foot?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And we've been asking the same question with the architect, and others have been bid in the last few months. Every time one goes out, he sends us an update. This is what this school came in at, and I think last week it was $348 for one. And I can't remember if that was Wilson County or East Tennessee, but one of them that came in $348.
Anyone else? Mr. King, good luck. Thank you for the report, and good luck to you and your board.
Thank you.
Other new business, Mr. Porter has a couple of things, I believe. Is that right, Mr. Porter?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. One of them is a update on the sale of the Fairgrounds. Of course, you saw my email that I sent out that the current developer that had the option on the Fairgrounds could not make it work in time with the retail developments, and so we're back kind of at square one. I have at least a couple other developers that I've been talking with, met with one of them already, also with a, company, that was interested last year, and I'm back with them to see if they are, a retail company, to see if they're, still interested. So over the next, 30 days or 60 or so, I'm gonna be working with folks to try to find another buyer, go back through that process. As soon as I do something, find out something, I'll keep you updated. You know, I think back and Commissioner Martin, I happened to see him today, and, you know, it's a little bit, depressing to know that didn't go through, but I'll never forget when we were trying to build the new 911 center and EMS facility, and I brought to you the old National Guard Armory property out on Highway 70, and, several of the veterans came that night, and that got voted down, and I was really depressed that next morning, Commissioner Martin, and, but I've learned that, if it's not meant to be, something better is coming along. And we wound up with a great facility out off of Willa that would have never happened had that went through. I brought to you down at Baxter about putting the Fairgrounds and Expo Center there at the Baxter exit. You decided that you didn't want to do that. Now we've got a $150 million tile company being built there, that the building's almost a half a mile long. So I've learned over the years that when something doesn't come through, you just keep going, and something will happen, and most of the time it's better than what the other one that you had.
Absolutely.
So I'll continue to work it very hard, and we'll see how it goes, but I'll keep you updated as we go forward.
Second item?
Second item is, last week, Mr. Dennis McBroom, end of last week, retired. And that was too late to get that onto the agenda. I have a succession plan that I put in place when I came into office with all my departments, especially the large ones that have any employees, that we have an assistant director that is under the director, and we never know, and we found out with, Mr. Burris, how quickly something can happen. And we can't have our departments to where that we don't have someone that can step right up and be able to run that department. So I'd like to ask you tonight, state law says that the county mayor appoints the department heads, but you need to ratify them. So I'd ask Mr. Darrell Tucker if he'd come up. Darrell is the assistant director at the maintenance department, has been for the last 5 years. Darrell is a longtime county employee, has 30 years in. He was one of my shift supervisors over at EMS for many years. He moved to the maintenance department to take over the assistant director position there. Darrell has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to construction, built his own house. For those of y'all that know anything about Darrell and deal with him on a day-to-day basis, you know how good of a guy he is and what a great job I think he'll do with this department. So I'm asking you tonight to ratify my appointment of him as our new maintenance director for Putnam County.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the ratification? Hey, do you want to, let me get you approved. Favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Would you like to speak, sir?
Yes, sir. Just thanks. Thank you. I know every one of you just about your face, but not personally. And ran you for over 30 years, and I thank him for taking a leap of faith and giving me a shot 30 years ago and then 15 years ago in maintenance or in management. And I learned a lot from him, probably a whole lot more than he knows, and it was to surround myself with good people and not yes men and intelligent, loyal servants. And I immediately wanted to pick somebody that I think each one of you guys recommend that has been an outstanding asset to this county as assistant director, and his name is Brian Beachboard, and he's sitting back there now. But I think all of you guys know him well too. But we'll do our best and try to take care of the county. We're just loyal servants.
Congratulations, sir, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Mr. Porter, do you have a number 3 item?
I have some under announcements, sir, if you don't mind.
I don't mind. Yeah,
Okay.
you're recognized, yes, sir.
Back on,
I'm sorry. And
Sorry.
also, did you want to speak on the other things? Mr. Moss wanted to ask.
Oh, it's going back to the school issue.
Okay.
Can I speak?
Sure, absolutely. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Mayor? No, this is for you. Where we at on our bonding before it's been maxed out or whatever? Cause this difference between the schools 44 and whatever that comes in at 60-something, I'm one of them would like to see the 3 through 8, and I just wonder where we're at.
So, currently, you have you're averaging about 18.5 million per year payback on your bonds. All of our bonds, we've got refinanced at very low interest rates. It all depends on debt service as to the amount of revenue coming in. So as it stands now, if you didn't do any capital projects, like we've been paying cash for, and all those roofs and all the many things we've done, you've got some extra room there to do some more debt. But if you want to continue to do capital projects and pay cash for them, we're going to have in the future several coming forward as we go forth, then you might need to add some more revenue into there. It just depends on what you're looking at. I did and you haven't called me, not in anticipation of this, but as Director King and I were talking about this the last several days, I had our Raymond James, the folks that do our bonding for us, had them look to see what we could do as far as what bonds we're going for now. I looked at a $5 million bond. They're suggesting that the interest rate be around 3.7%. I think they're looking at, with the Fed raising the rates this week, probably another 3/4 of a point. They're figuring that in. If you do that, it's about another $300,000 a year in debt service payment if you borrow that $5 million over the next 25 years like you did the school bond. If you borrow $15 million to be able to do what they want with the K through 8, that's about $915,000 a year in debt service that you would have to start in 2024. That's about a little over 4 cents on the tax rate if you raised taxes to make that bond for the $15 million. If things continue to go well with sales tax and the economy and everything, you possibly could absorb that inside debt service, but you might put yourself into a spot in the next couple, 3 years to where you can't do those $2 and $3 million roofs and pay cash for them. That's going to be coming up at Burke's and over at the Parkview and all the capital projects. So there's not really a set bonding limit that you have that says you can't. You can bond as high as you want to. You just got to have the revenue coming in to make the payments. If that makes sense.
I thought it'd be interesting for the commissioners to know where we were at.
Yeah.
Randy, along those lines, the next bond that we have that matures, pays off is 26.
When you hit 26, 27, you have your bonding debt goes down tremendously, almost 50% by 2028. But it starts dropping in 2026, 2027, I believe, and it'll drop off considerably. What happened in previous years, not saying this to fault anybody, just for information, what happened in previous years when the county did debt, it backloaded the debt. And so you were paying huge amounts on the current bond, you were paying little bitty small amounts on the newer bonds, the ones that are further out. When I came into office with this commission, most of you, we changed that, and actually the comptroller's office is pretty well came down and said you can't do that anymore. And so our bonds are level. Our bonding payments that we make on the bond are almost the same amount each year over the life of that bond. They're not backloaded like they were. So we're getting real close to getting that last backloaded debt off, and we'll be paying those level payments going forward until we get to that 26, 27 when it really falls off, and you've got a lot of room in bonding capacity coming up then.
I guess kind of along the same lines, the bond that we took for the jail and for the school, that was in the 1.75 range? What's that?
1.94, I believe.
1.94, so we've almost nearly, well, not doubled, but half again that amount, but they're still low. It's still in the 3% range.
Compared to some of the other bonds that you did back years ago at 5 and 6%, and it's still very low, but not as low as what it was. And going to continue to go up, I think, if things keep going.
Any other questions about that? Okay, Mr. Ford.
Mr. Chairman, back in at our 4th of July ceremony that we had here at the courthouse, we try to recognize some of our veterans each year. And we picked out this year to recognize our county commissioners that were veterans. And unfortunately, you and Mr. Ford were unable to attend because of prior engagements. So I would like to, if y'all would come down, I'd like to present y'all with your proclamations We looked at any commissioners that had served, in the military. Mr. Ford, he served, let's see, in the United States Marines from 71 to 74. And Mr. Atwood served in the National Guard from 72 to 79, I believe is correct. So I'd like to present y'all with the proclamations that we did, not only thanking you for your service to our country, but thank you for your service to our county and serving as county commissioner. And the other county commissioners that were at the 4th of July, I re-recognize them, AJ and several of y'all, and I thank y'all all for your service. It's been a great commission to work with, and look for great things coming in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that as well. I'm sure you do as well, Jerry. Other announcements, I recognize Ms. Tace had one she wanted to comment, please.
Bring this before the body and commission.
Take your mic on, please pull it to where we can hear you, if you don't mind.
I, as a county employee, would just like to ask you, as a body of commission, to please stop separation of county employees with certain types of pay raises. This is not a good for any of those who give all they have to this county to operate. We operate with more than a few departments, and all those departments are important. We all contribute to the day-to-day operation in this county. So what would happen if all other employees were absent 2 or 3 weeks? Maintenance, no vehicle repair to be done. Solid waste, no trash collected. Highway department, no roads maintained. Parks and Recs, no parks maintained. No pools treated, no county grounds maintained. Building and Codes Department, no building permits issued. Trustee, no money collected, no money deposited. Court clerk, no fees collected. In other words, no money coming in, no money going out for operation in this county. With this being said, please consider being fair across the board. We are all important, and it takes all of us to run this county day to day. And yes, I'm standing for all those county employees that has no one to stand for them. I want to thank them for all they do for this county, because sometimes that is not said enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tays. Any other comments or announcements? Again, welcome. Glad to have all of you. Some of you I know are getting some information that may be useful to you come September or so. Next year is going to be a tough year. Got to be prepared for it. A lot of things going on. Going to cost us a lot of money. So thanks for being here. We appreciate that. Appreciate all the county employees that have joined us tonight as well. Anything else anybody else has? We stand adjourned.